So studying our reference, we see that at the beginning here, this is of a particular size, tiny, then it scales, then there is rotation also happening, right? Then it's like comes into rest, then after it comes into rest, then the width scales, then there is division also happening. Now you might think this division, yes, okay, there are 101 ways to approach anything, like anything you see. This will, to a large extent, all of this is because of every interpretation you find here is also has to do with me as an individual, how I also animate. Another person can look at this and see, give it a different interpretation and actually approach it from a different angle. So for me now, yes, I'm actually here. I may start off from here by having two separate square, right, or rectangle rather. Yes, from here now, once it starts scaling, the width starts scaling to become like a rectangle. Somewhere here, in fact, I make sure from here now there are two, right? There are two different rectangles. So when they come here, they separate. But there's another way where you can just have one particular layer. This whole rectangle is one, right? It's one from here. But the only thing happening is that it's scaling based on the width. That's from here, and the anchor point is at the middle here, but it's scaling away left and right, but not up and down. So it scales left to right, but there is what is called a cutter, which in After Effects is called track math going on. Track math or math, the math system is is a relationship between two objects, right? Where the visibility of one is determined by the one that is on top of it. The visibility of one is determined by the one on top of it. And there are different modes to that. There are different modes, there are different options. One of the options is called alpha inverted. That is, you are using color as the tool to make to base that relationship between both. So right now, for me, because of I've known this, right, what I'm seeing is that one is cutting this other rectangle that is growing up from here, is cutting this one. It's cutting this one, so you continuously cut it, then cut it to this extent. So for me, that's how I approach. That's what I see. Now it may not make sense now, but I think it will once I come to After Effects. So this is what you have, right? So to start off, this didn't grow out completely at the beginning, so we need to take it backtrack it. So right now, yes, you have this separated, because I've been the one that was on that. On normally every layer you create with the scale property, it comes with, let's say this. If I have scale, you see this chain. You see the chain is here. I was going to remove the chain by clicking on it. Click on it to break it or to. So what this chain allows us to do is to scale, just because this is the x and y property is meant to be as the height and the breadth. Right now, no, that's not what I want. Right now we scale the breadth to like 600 and 600 something. But yes, this is what it allows us to scale, just the breadth alone or the height alone. So that's what we have. So but right now, based on our reference here, at this time, let's see what was the time here. So this is not giving us, this is not reading frame, it's reading, I think, based on seconds, so we can't see the frame. But based on somewhere this frame, this is looking like 20 frames. This is of this size before it starts dividing, right? So it means somewhere to 20 frames, right? We need to scale it down somewhere this, and I tried it, I think it's 100, so 100. So 100 over 100, so yes, it matches with this one. It matches with it becomes a perfect square now. The what is it called? The height and the breadth are the same, so it becomes a square. So it becomes necessary for me to register this, because in the middle this is what it turns out to, but at the beginning this is not what we start. And surely I must animate the beginning, so it doesn't make any sense. Maybe I take this small, I make it smaller, totally small, then later I will now come and I'll now be asking myself, what's that value again? I can go that route too, but that's not the fastest way. Rather, I also preempt, I also like need to think ahead, what is it that I want. So I like this particular scale level which it is now, so I register it, so I should not push it in time. So how to push a frame in time, that's in the timeline, like this. I hold Alt. I hold Alt. I hold Control Shift. Control Shift Alt. Then forward arrow. Forward arrow takes it. Oh no, that's not it. Control Alt rather. Control Alt, there's no shift. Control Alt forward arrow. What's happening? Okay. Sorry, the shortcut is Alt Shift forward arrow. Alt Shift forward arrow. So with this now, move the 10 frames. Alt Shift forward arrow, move 10 frames, and I think 20 frames is right about it. That's 20 frames ahead. So with this now, at the beginning now, I can now take this, make it smaller, like I think like 50% is, yeah, this is like 51. Let's make it, in fact, let's make it 45%, like 45% here. Then if you notice our reference here, it scales from here, then it scales up, then it rotates. Yes, we've done the scaling now, right? Then it also rotates while it's scaling. Now we've been able to achieve this scale. I don't know why is this playback like this for. If I play this, you see, it started small. You know what? I think I'm tempted to make it like 25% small. Yes. So it starts small, yes, then it grows to large, right? It becomes larger. However, you can see theirs is a very much more interesting. Why? Because they added rotation to it. So I don't know where at the beginning, I don't know which particular rotation it is, but I know at the ending I want it to be, in terms of the rotation, right? I want it to also be here. This is the value I want it to. So it becomes also necessary for me to register this in the future. Register this is on 0. I think the one I gave you people wasn't 0, so you need to 0 it. So you need to hit 0 at this particular, once you go to 20 frames. Need to be at 0. Then once I come here, I can offset it with just give it some random yes figure. But this mine is at 72. So if I play this now, oh, why is this taking forever to preview? So we find this happening. However, everything is happening on a constant speed. That is exactly not what I want. Rather, you should make it like pop, like you should start off with a force, then ease into the rest, like force, like full. Start means at the beginning it needs to not to just, it needs to come out stronger. So the way to go about that, once you have this selected, you hit F9. Let me see if my F9 is not working, because I'm recording. So I need to hit use my keyframe assistant, but the shortcut for this for you is F9. So once I have this done, I can come here, click on this, this graph editor, click on it, then yes, then I take this. Now the way how this works is that's to read this right, is that this slope happening is like it slows to a particular point and also slows down whenever there's a curve means, you know, gradual, so the change is not abrupt. And if I were to do this more, if I were to drag this more, if I drag this more, you can see the curve is even much more pronounced. That means it will like slow, it will be very much slower. I don't know what's happening with this my preview, this thing is not working, but it will happen very much slow. I wanted to demonstrate that, but this is not, it happens very much more slow, but that's not what we want. What we want is to take this to this way, so it will pop here now. So we take this, so I want it to pop, then immediately it pops, then it also now gradually enter into that particular final position. That's the rest here, then it enters rest. So we can take this way, drag this like extreme. This is my second system, it's wonderful today. Yeah, and I thought it just needed me to restart it, which I've done. I've been using it for a while now. You know what? Let me even do this for some of you. Well, this may take a while. Like, once your system is going to drag, one of the ways to like free it is that you come to edit, purge on memory and disk. Purge on memory and disk. So okay. Hopefully this makes it faster. Okay, it's done purging it. I feel this is the frame rate. Like I feel it's not reading it as you know, as appropriate as it should. But you see, with the importance of you know, knowing how to read you know, animation curve and how this thing is. Even though right now I feel it's a little bit slower, it should pop more than what I'm looking for. I'm seeing here. But because I've been able to like set this, I knew once I render it out, it should you know, go faster than it is. So once that is done, yes, so once we are here, I can actually, you know, approach this in a sense where once I'm here now, I can now I don't know, sometimes this works, this sometimes it doesn't work, but let's just try. I may now break this constraint to proportion from here now. Before, when all the parameters I set they were together, think yes, if I take it back, it should still be together. But once I'm here now, I take this also. Remember, I used 20 frames to get here, so I think another 20 frame. Now I'm holding Control Shift forward arrow 1, forward arrow 2 to scale the width, right? This is the width. Okay. Yeah. To scale it up. So with that now, what is happening once it's now here, the proportion, the scaling proportion was constrained, right? We have the same, the width and height, we were scaling together. But once it came here, they all just started scaling. Now, I could have, which I did the other time, was in the lesson video, I had to break this and bring out another, what's it called, another square. But right now, I'm maintaining just this one for all of this. So once is this, so if you go back to our reference video, once it starts scaling to this, right, then somewhere about this time, then it starts dividing in the middle. Something start cutting it. Something start cutting it in the middle, right? So it cuts not completely, but somewhere to this amount. So that's what we want to do now. So we'll cut it now. We'll cut it to that amount. So yes, and I think this is the math, right? Yes, this is the math for it. Or for me not to jump ahead, I can just duplicate this. Yeah, I think already, to make it faster, because I could have created this or duplicate this one and remove all keyframe and make this, but to make this faster, right? This is the math for this, right? So is that somewhere here? Yeah, somewhere here where it is now that this one starts coming in. Let me make it invisible. Somewhere here that this other one start coming in. Yes. Now, the way the math system works, to bring out the math system, you need to come here. If you don't find this is the math, track math. If you don't find this, you only need to hit this F4 to bring this out, or you come and click either of these three to bring this out. Then you can now select with alpha math will tell it to see. But remember, as I said, the math is a relationship between two. The math system works by relating two objects that they are contact with each other, right? When they contact, what should happen, right? What exactly should happen? So there are different options in this relationship. It's either there are 4 options in After Effects. There is either we have what is called alpha math happening. That is, you will use the one on top, right? You can only see. You use the one on top, right? I can only see. I'm only visible based on the one on top. Based wherever the one on top is visible, I'm visible there, right? And the track math is usually done is usually placed on the one under, whereas the one on top is now the system which we used to see. It's now the medium which we used to see. So one of the options here is alpha math, which means you can only see where me I'm seeing, right? If I do this, so we can only see this. Remember, this one, you can see this is where it ended, this is the bounding, but this is where it ended. So every other thing for this one now, we are not seeing it, we are only seeing it where this one ended. Then there is a reverse of this particular one, and alpha means we are using a color, we are using color system to do all of this. But reverse to this one is that alpha inverted. Wherever I'm not seeing should be where you should be seen. That's inverted. Wherever I'm not seeing should be where you should be seen. That's alpha means color. We are using color because that is red. Once it's red, you understand, it means we are using it to see, right? Wherever I'm seeing now, you shouldn't see you there, so it's inverted. It's the same thing with this luma, but luma many times, maybe if you have something like smoke that doesn't have color, but it has brightness, the more bright that thing becomes, maybe the smoke becomes, the more visibility it gives, the channel for visibility. It uses it as a visibility channel. So this is what we want, the inverted. So I've set it to inverted. So, but however, it's not meant to affect this, right? Let me remove, okay, that is just to explain that, but let me remove the alpha math for now. And make this visible. So at the initial phase, this is like the rest position. This is the height, because this rest position where it only cuts, it only make us see the end of this particular one. At the end here of this one, we only get to see this at the end, at the edge of this one. This is the rest position. So it becomes necessary for us to register this now. And what is happening here? When it was cutting, that scale, it means, so you can see at a particular time, this is the level. We're still seeing much of this red here, right? Then later it starts coming in. So it's scale. So what is happening is actually scaling up and cutting off this one. It's scaling up and cutting off this one, scaling up and cutting off this one. So that is what we need. So is scale property now, right? So we need to register the scale as the ending of it. But once we go in time at the beginning of it, it means, remember, is the width now. The width needs to be at 0. It needs to be at 0. So once we set this at 0, so it will now grow a moment in time. So what that means, when this the square is somewhere here, is that is beginning to grow. Let's see there. It's already growing this way. Then this one will now start to cut it. Now the cutting is not happening simply because I've not, I removed, this is quad 1, right? I removed the math from it, the math system from it. So now I need to set it to alpha math inverted. So with that, somewhere here, start to cut it away. It comes in and cuts away. So, but there is, the thing is just going linear. I would actually want it to, like, because if you watch, I think it slows it a bit. It slows out a bit. No, the punch, there's a punch, like there's a foot. Yes, there's a foot. It like as if it's turned, so there's a punch to it. So, but ours here is just linear. Just linear. So for one, we need to hit F9 again. For me, I need to get mine because I'm recording to come here is then we can now go to the graph editor. So I need it to tear like it should be faster at the beginning, it should go shoot then settles a bit. So if that's the case, once we come here, this should come to this edge. Then this should be slower somewhere like this. So it will pop. Once it can start coming to pop, then it slows down. I think it should even pop more than I have there. Yeah, something like this. So let's preview it and see. Yeah, I think the popping is now a little bit too much, but I think you get the gist. For the sake of demonstration, let's just have it like that. Then should prove, yeah. Yeah, I think that is it. Yeah, I think that is it for now.